Welcome to Mercy Volunteer Corps' Q&A about Mercy. During the year, volunteers have the opportunity to be part of the wider Sisters of Mercy community and to serve along sisters, lay associates, and ministry staff. Tonight, Amy will be sharing her experience of Mercy, both as a volunteer and beyond. If you have questions, you can send them in the live chat and we'll answer them for you. So thanks for joining us tonight, Amy. To get us started, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, maybe where you're from, where you served, and a bit of what life holds for you now.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me here. My name is Amy Keller. I reside in Omaha, Nebraska. This is where I was born and raised, but I did spend 6 years in Detroit, Michigan. I went there for my volunteer year of service for 1 year, and I liked it so much that I stayed for 6. And it was a fantastic place to be, but I've ultimately moved back home to be close by family, and now I work with Creighton University in the Alumni Relations Department.
And for those who don't know much about the Mercy community and want to know a little bit more, it would be helpful to hear maybe what Mercy means to you and what makes the Mercy community unique.
I've been trying to think of how to say that succinctly because it's been a very encompassing part of my life since I was born to be a part of the Mercy community. And I think when I consider what Mercy means to me, it's people who do not want to be complacent and they want to see the things that are going on around them in the world and take action on it with the people in a community that can teach along the way. Because the truth is, when I went to Detroit, there was a lot of things I needed to learn. And being a part of that community was a big part of learning. And so when I think about Mercy, that's part of it for sure. I've had a chance to be surrounded by Sisters of Mercy, volunteers, associates, companions, a lot of different people who have an influence in the Mercy world. And the thing that holds them all together is that they are not complacent people.
Great, thanks for sharing that. I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you were involved with the Mercy community as a volunteer. I think people that are considering doing a year of service with us would like to hear a little bit more about what Mercy looked like during your year, and then ways that you've stayed connected since.
Great. So I ended up in Detroit, Michigan, which was fantastic. It was my first choice and truthfully my only choice. I put all my eggs in that basket. And I said, I really hope I get this. And if not, I don't know what I'm going to do after college, but this is what I really, really wanted. They had a site that was focused on theater, which is a big part of my background. And so I remember that the process of applying was pretty strenuous. I needed to do some writings. I needed to do some interviews. And I do remember specifically that in the interview process, I talked with a Sister of Mercy in person. And it started by her saying a prayer with me. And I thought, this is a really, really good feeling. The fact that we're starting in a way that is just recognizing that I can be calm and in a space that is allowing me to be my best self. The volunteer experience itself was really fantastic as well. I had a chance to live with 4 other women and explore Detroit, which is an incredibly cool community. It's growing. There's so much art. If you like theater, there's great theater there. That's where I worked. Sports teams, there's free festivals all the time. And I know that one of the things that a lot of people worry about going into a volunteer year is, well, how do you pay for things? How do you enjoy the city if you don't, make tons of money? But during that entire year, we met so many people that cared for us while we cared for them simultaneously. We were given free tickets to go and see the Red Wings play, or we would get tickets to go to the symphony, and we would make food for them. And then the next day they would drop off an Easter basket. And so it was a really reciprocal relationship with the sisters that we were able to work with. And those are some of the women that really shaped a lot of my values. Every Wednesday night, we would have community dinners and we would have some form of a service together. It was always led by someone different from a different faith background. So the truth is, not everyone in the house has to follow the same principles that you do. And I think that's really important to learn that you can grow in who you are as a person with people that may not have the exact same belief system that you had. And that's extremely important in the world that we live in. So yeah, those are some of the things that come to mind. I'm sure I'm missing a lot, but those are some of the first things that come to mind.
And then I know you had mentioned that year was impactful for you and that you'd known the Mercy community beforehand as well. I didn't know if maybe you could share a little bit about that relationship and how you've stayed connected after your volunteer year.
Sure, absolutely. So I had gone to a Mercy High School in Omaha, Nebraska. And so I had known about the sisters for quite some time. And then when my year of service was done, I was told a little bit more about Mercy Association. And I didn't actually know too much about it, but I said, tell me more. And what it really came down to for me was that I wanted to consistently surround myself with people who would make me better. And I knew that if I was surrounding myself with other people who cared about the Mercy traditions, that I wouldn't be led astray. Only good things can happen with that. And so I said, tell me more about how to do that. And so I joined Association in Detroit. And that community there would meet monthly. They would do service in the community. They would have book clubs. They would have dinners together. They would organize events for the Sisters of Mercy there as well. And so it was a really cohesive group, not only among lay individuals, but also with sisters, which was the best of all worlds, right? And here in Omaha, when I moved back here, I then joined with the association here, which has a really similar situation too. And so we meet monthly too. We do a lot more Bible studies in this group, but we also do a lot of service, and we try to partner with community organizations that could use more support. And that's a big part of what we do, is trying to lend a hand and also learning, so we can make sure we share that information with other people around us. So that's another thing I joined since I got to Omaha. And then the most recent thing that I joined would be the Mercy Emerging Leaders Program in 2019, August 2019. It's hard to remember things that happened before the pandemic because that was a wild time. But it was a group of 10 women from around the world, and the concept is to come together and learn a little bit more about how all of our countries approach global issues, how we can learn from each other, what works in that community, and how we can bring it back into ours as well. It's been going on now. I think the third cohort will be starting this August. And so now we will have 10 women that are a part of this process, that will get to continue meeting other people from different areas of the world and sharing resources, which is extremely important for me because I want to see that circle of mercy continue to grow, and seeing that happen on the scale that it is right now is really impactful.
And then kind of going off that, where you said being connected and staying and seeing how that mercy continues to grow has been very impactful for you. Wondering if you could share a little bit about, from going to a Mercy High School, joining Mercy Volunteer Corps, becoming an associate, participating in this Emerging Leaders Program, to connect with Mercy on a global scale. Just wondering if you could share what difference being part of Mercy makes in your life, what meaning that brings to you.
I think that Mercy really holds me accountable, which is an important thing to have as an adult in my life. I think that it's easy to get caught up in the extra tasks that we all have as we get older and leave our centers of learning. So, once I graduated from college, I had that built-in community, of course. But it's been really impactful to keep moving into other areas and growing that community with that Mercy lens. And so I really appreciated that I've not only met people from Detroit, but people from Omaha, and people from Australia, and people from Ireland and Papua New Guinea and all these, Peru, all these places, that it really shows you that the Mercy community is much larger than your own small sphere. And that makes me very thankful to be a part of it, but it also brings me a lot of comfort in knowing the realities of our world, that we have so many people that care about social justice and want to do something about it.
So as our volunteers also have the chance during their years, like you had said, to walk alongside the Sisters of Mercy in their justice issues. They have 5 critical concerns of racism, immigration, women, care for earth, and nonviolence. So wondering if you could share, if maybe from your experiences, you said it's important for you to be involved in social justice, if there's a particular experience or critical concern that's been meaningful for you and how you've been able to engage that.
I would say all of them intertwine at different parts of my life. I know that here in Omaha, a place that I had the opportunity to work for, was it 5, 6 years, I would say, right after my time in Detroit, was with Girls Inc. of Omaha. And so caring for women and making sure that women have access to educational opportunities, and also making sure that there's equal access to do that, has been a really important value for me. That company does really great work here in our area, but I've also had a chance to learn from other associates and other volunteers from what they're doing in other cities as well. And being able to learn from them has been great. I would say another issue that's been really impactful here would be caring for our common home, making sure that we're using our resources effectively. Currently, I work at Creighton University, and they have a really important sustainability initiative that I'm passionate about, and making sure that on a large scale, we take small steps to ensure that we have a planet. And so I think that Mercy does a great job of educating the people who are in Mercy Volunteer Corps to what's going on in the world. And then it's up to us once we leave to really take that with us and continue to practice that.
So in closing, I'm wondering why you think someone should serve as a Mercy volunteer, and if you have any advice for someone who's considering this opportunity.
Well, I can't really think of a reason not to volunteer. So I think that when it comes to wanting to do something impactful, if you want to be someone who isn't sitting on the sidelines, then this is that opportunity for you. And it can happen at any stage in your life. This isn't just for someone who's coming out of college. I've seen volunteers that are 60 years old. I've seen volunteers of all genders, of all backgrounds. This is for everyone to really be involved with. And I think that makes the experience very rich and fulfilling. The advice that I would give for anyone who is going through this is to go in with the expectation that you don't know what you're going to find out. And that's a really exciting thing. But if you're someone who always has a plan, it might not be your plan. Certain things about it don't go according to plan. I specifically remember with the women that I lived with, that, and they'll tell you this too. They'll tell you that I was a terrible cook. I was not good at it. But I had to learn to get a little better at that so I could really do my part and help out within our community living arrangement. And I think that by living in a place with other people, you also learn quite a bit about yourself. So if you're coming into this experience, you're going to learn a lot about who you are. You're going to learn a lot about how you can best be impactful for the people around you too.
Well, thanks, Amy, so much for sharing more about your experiences in Mercy and what Mercy has meant in your life. And thanks for all who are tuned in to watch this video. We're currently accepting applications for our service year beginning in August, and applications are accepted on a rolling basis through our website, mercyvolunteers.org. If you have any questions or would like to talk with a Mercy volunteer, you can also reach out to us at recruitment@mercyvolunteers.org. And thanks again, and have a great night.